that people have had the opportunity of comparing two extremes. What are the two extremes? What PDP provided and what the APC is providing. So the result is obvious, and I can assure you, it is only a fool that will reinforce failure, as somebody would have said. Because if you think of voting for any political party in 2023, you would have been reinforcing failure. Because the only political party that has shown what leadership is the PDP. We have seen what the APC has from top to bottom. The federal government, the government at the center has nothing to write home about. At the state is zero. So for me, I think the fact that we are presenting people with high quality, people that have been tested, people with experience. For your information, Barrister Caleb Mwanswat has the experience of an executive because he was a local government chairman. So he has run the affairs of the local government successfully. So by every standard, he has an idea of what it means to run a system. Josephine Pio was a local government chairman too. She also has the executive experience. And again, a former member of the House of Assembly, dual experience, the legislative experience and the executive experience. Now, when you put these two together, I believe that this should be a selling point because of all the candidates that have so far indicated interest to run for this governorship on different platforms. I think our candidates stand out.
So you made mention of the other parties maybe they are not able to participate in the elections. You cited court cases. Are you aware of the Justice Gang and also Justice Kunda's case in the PDP too? Because when you point fingers at others, the other three are also pointing at you. You know that, right? So people are also saying that PDP might not contest in this election.
Well, we have tested it. We've tested it because the structure that superintended over our by-elections, Basa Jos North Federal Constituency election, Pangshin South Constituency by-election, were superintended by the structures we have today. So because PLASEC, being the political arm of government of the APC, denied PDP participation on the excuse or on the excuse of a judgment, which of course is still being contested. I think it's not enough reason for anybody to think that PDP has any issue at stake. PDP is home and dry. PDP is very, very much ready, and PDP is going to go into this election. Because one, you will notice that as it stands today, there is nothing with regards to all the candidates PDP has produced that is being contested. From the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, the Senate, and of course the governorship. There's no encumbrance. Everybody is certain we're set for elections. The difference between that and what's happening in the APC, like I said earlier on, is when you know the issues that are in contention in court, particularly with regards to the APC, it affects the foundation upon which every candidate of the APC is standing today. Because that foundation is the process that produced these various candidates at the various levels, which of course are the delegates. Now it is the legality of those delegates that is being questioned. So once that thing goes through, every structure that is built on that foundation comes down. And I can assure you, it will go down because even as politicians, we knew what happened. Because as a sensible politician, you must also be interested in what's happening in the other camp. So we were understanding them while they were understanding us. So we knew what transpired. There was no primaries because delegates were not allowed to vote. New names were generated from only God knows where, and that's what is in court. I will not want to go deep into that lest it becomes sub judice, because it is still a matter that is in court. So also is the issue of the gubernatorial thing. And we just talked about that of the Labour Party. Today, the Federal High Court in Jos became too small to handle their matter. They've moved to Abuja. Federal High Court in Abuja. It is either Margif is the candidate or Dr. Patrick Dakwom is the candidate. Till today, no Labour man will tell you this is the authentic candidate until what the court decides. Now, the implication of that is you are injuring the very fabric upon which you are supposed to stand. The cohesion within that party will no longer be there. And again, like we said, people will tell you Labour Party, Labour Party. Where is the structure? People will tell you we are the structure. I ask, there are 24 state constituencies that are supposed to be contested for. There are supposed to be 8 federal constituencies that are supposed to be contested for. There are 3 senatorial seats that are supposed to be contested for. The question I ask is, does the Labour Party have candidates in all of these constituencies? How many state constituencies do they have that they have candidates? To the best of my knowledge, if I'm thinking correctly, and if my research is correct, I think they have barely 18 or 19. Not up to the 24. It tells you that something is fundamentally wrong. Now, for the position of the 3 senatorial zones, I am from the central zone. As I speak with you, I cannot tell you with certainty that who is the senatorial candidate for Labour Party in the central zone. Neither can I say who the senatorial candidate of the southern zone is. For the northern zone, my friend who ran away from PDP and went to Labour to pick the ticket. That's the only thing I'm sure of. So those deficiencies, one way or the other, affect your chances of winning an election.
But I also think that we are not accepting responsibility and that the PDP is also in court.
Over what?
The Justice Prayer case and also the issue should not settle.
Of course. If we are in court, what are the issues that is in contention? That's what we are talking about. The structure of PDP, you're talking about the leadership problem in the state.
Yes.
The leadership question here has nothing entirely. It has nothing to do with the candidates we have on ground.
Can the faulty leadership produce independent delegates?
That is what people do not understand. The state structure does not conduct congresses, nor does it conduct primary elections. Not at all. Not at all. Good. In the PDP, what happens is the national sends down people here as electoral committee that will conduct like any other party. Very good. So once that is done, you have your delegates that are produced from the same national, yes, because very well, because the structure that conducts the primaries the Congress to produce the delegates came all the way from Abuja. In fact, let me tell you, the committee that came to Plateau was headed by the Right Honorable Tese Sumba from Benue State. It was a 5-man committee that came to Plateau to conduct elections to elect the 3 ad hoc delegates from all the wards. The state executive played no role whatsoever in the process of producing these 3 ad hoc delegates. And of course, the national delegates. They left. Now, a new committee was sent in from Abuja to conduct the primaries for the senatorial, for the House of Assembly, for the House of Representatives, and the gubernatorial primaries. There is no action whatsoever that was taken by the state exco here. So, the reason for this hula-baloo about litigation about the structure here principally was as it related to the issue of these local government elections that PLASEC, that is pretending to be independent, worked towards excluding the PDP from participating in the local government elections, as it were. Now, if that issue was something to go by, then the PDP wouldn't have been in a position to present candidates to contest for the by-elections into the Federal House of Representatives, Bassa Jos North, and of course the Panshin South constituencies, because these were elections conducted by INEC. So INEC does not have issues with the PDP, and that's why we were in a position to validly nominate candidates for these elections. And of course, that's exactly what's going to happen. You see the difference here, as I said, with that of the APC and of course, principally the APC, is that it is what the primaries produce as candidates, the subsisting candidates, against the 2023 general elections that is being contested in court. For us, we are home and dry as far as those issues are concerned.
Okay, stripping it dry. So what about the factions between your two leaders, the Jeremiah faction and also the Jam faction? And I don't want to ask which one you belong to.
No. You see, this is just a coinage of mischief makers in terms of faction here, faction there.
But we've seen it practically in PDP with the exo-led faction.
No. See, in a political party, a large political party like that, like the PDP, within the same party, you have different, divergent interests. And that was what played out. The exo issue is I liken it to the PDP 1, PDP 2, in the days of my late father, Dakwom Shaw, of blessed memory. I think between 2008, 2009, when some people from nowhere just came up and announced themselves as exco of the party and said they are PDP 1 or PDP 2. That was the same thing that reenacted itself during the exo thing. Exo never contested for the chairmanship of this party at any time. He went and declared himself chairman of the political party. You can't wake up from your house from nowhere as if the PDP is a beer parlor, that you go in and go out at will because you feel you want to go in there. And today, what's the story? Exo is no longer here. Now, the difference that people thought was hydra-headed, of course, rests with the interest in terms of those people that were aspiring to lead this party. Bitrus Kaze wanted to be chairman of the party. Aminu Zang wanted to be chairman of the party. Chris Hassan wanted to be chairman of the party. Monica Gubernatorial wanted to be chairman of the party at the state, and others like that, aspiring to occupy other positions of the party, as it were. Now, most of these aspirants then were attached to either any of these leaders we have here. So it's normal. So we went into the contest and people emerged. So after the emergence of the leadership of the party, everybody collapses under the leadership that has emerged. And today, nobody is contending the chairmanship of Chris Hassan. You will not hear Bitrus Kaze saying, no, I am the chairman. Neither will you hear Aminu Zang, no, Monica Gubernatorial, or any other person for that matter. So as far as we are concerned, the PDP as a very large political party is under one leadership. And Chris Hassan is the chairman of the party with his exco. Every other person submits himself under this leadership. But of course, even within a family setting, sometimes we still have people with one form of grievance or the other, and they will like it addressed. But life in itself, you cannot exhaust, or you cannot completely stop one problem or the other within a family setting, not to talk of a political party like the PDP. Of course, there are agitations, contestations, so on and so forth, but the ability to manage it and move on is our strength, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, let's deal with specific. Caleb Mwanswat as your own candidate, is above 50. Joseph Pio, the Honorable Justice Pio is also above 50.
Very well.
The young people, don't you think have edged out the young people in the election? And don't forget that the statistics INEC is giving us, a substantial amount of the voters that are going to be voting this year, and the young people, and your party did not see a reason to give the young people an opportunity.
You see,
you have promised them STs and commissioners after.
You see, there's no responsible father that having a destroyed system will want to hand over a system that is already totally in disarray to his son. The responsibility of the father is to make efforts to correcting what has gone wrong, then hand over a good platform for the son to take over. And I think what the PDP is doing today, right from top to the states, is now getting the a little bit elderly ones to clear the mess. The mess, no, not necessarily that they have done. Yeah.
They are saying that the young people cannot claim business. It's only the older generation that can claim business. So the young people should.
Yeah, well, is like the cliche that they said in Hausa, what they do Rakura, she's a quenchita. I think what we're having to do with now is, when you look at the leadership structure within the party, within the PDP, as it were, you will notice a reasonable percentage of young people within the structure of the party. Now it tells you that it is a deliberate policy of the party to grow the younger ones into leadership positions. Now look at the national youth leader of the party, of the PDP. He became the national youth leader at the age of 25.
But the one in the state here, the one in the federal.
Of course, but you cannot take away the fact that even the one in the state is a young man. Don't mind the large bear he keeps around. He's a very young man. He's in his late 30s or in his early 40s. Comparatively, you will say he's relatively young. Even the state chairman of the party, the Chris Hassan. How old is Chris Hassan? Chris Hassan is in his early 50s. So it tells you that we build bridges between the old and the young. And the bridge has to be a very strong one. And that's why you find out that those that are serving as the bridge are in their 50s. So when you are in your late 40s, early 50s, you are a strong bridge upon which the younger ones can walk through before getting to the stage or the category of what you now call the elders. So for me, what I'm saying is, Mutfwang Pio, for us, are within the right age. Because one, it tells you that they are at their exit point. So what they have at stake today should be a positive plateau in the future. So they must prepare and build a bright and a very good future for the younger ones. And that's why you find out that the involvement of the younger ones, even within the campaign structure or within the movement to government house, is very high. I can assure you, Mutfwang Pio have the youth substantially to form government with. I can assure you, not less than 40-45% of appointments of the government, if not 50, will go to the youth, because the time to build the youth is now.
Now, talking about this time now, Plateau have had a lot of cliches and sayings. In different government, you remember the Jonah Johnson election, you remember your own affiliation with the Liberty JJ work. And we also know the rescue and distribution. It has been about cliche and cliche and cliche. Now, this is cliche now. Is the time is now. What is the time now? Even in this particular life, as we look at the next generation of Plateau State, as we look at the future of Plateau State, what is the time now?
The time now to rebuild a plateau of our dream. Okay. Because the plateau of yesterday is not the plateau you have today. We keep going down by whatever standard, economically, socially, politically, educationally, we are retrogressing. Now, there has to be a time where you will stop to ponder and ask the question, what has gone wrong? What do we need to do? What do we need to do differently? Now, the time to ponder over all this is now. There cannot be a better time than now. And that's why we are saying the time is now. And that's why I told you what these colors signifies. The time is now for us to restore the lost glory and prosperity of Plateau. The time is now. The time is now to give exemplary leadership. The time is now to change the narratives on the Plateau. People have come, people came with different slogans, as you said. Some were changed, some were rescued. Bishop, you don't know what you're rescued. You don't know what you're rescued.
We didn't have any redemption too.
Oh, no. In terms of redemption, but you cannot, in all honesty, say that certain sectors of the economy were not redeemed. Of course, our infrastructures were redeemed. I can tell you that. The educational sector, part of it, were redeemed, particularly in terms of physical infrastructure, because it's a process. When you do your role and the time is up, you go, somebody comes in, take over. That's governance. That is what life is all about. So in terms of redemption, there are a lot of sectors within the economy that were redeemed. Look at the water supply on the plateau. It was redeemed significantly. Till today, not a liter of water anywhere is being added to what we have on the plateau in terms of water supply in this state. Outside of what Jan did during his 8 years tenure, nothing has been done in the water sector. Look at our roads. Look at our rural roads. When Jan came in, the redemption government came in, a minimum of 6 or 5 kilometers of road in the 17 local governments of Plateau State. That was a standard. That was a standard. Now, when you look at, of course, the urban roads here, you cannot but agree with me that those infrastructures were redeemed. When you were driving here, you saw the road right from there. It was ongoing. What was left was just a little bit of work to be done, and then time caught up with the government. For me, those roads were redeemed. What we needed was the completion of those roads, and of course, nothing happened, and your experience is as good as imagined because you saw how the roads are. So, in terms of redemption, we were significantly redeemed. Take security, for instance. When you look at the document, and of course the law establishing the Operation Rainbow of a thing, if that document is followed and improved upon, let me tell you, it will solve to a great deal the security issues we have. And part of what the movement government intends to do is to build on the operations of the Operation Rainbow in the security aspect of it. Agriculture, you saw what the ASTC was doing. Today, it's not just that ASTC is like moribund or anything. The equipment are nowhere to be found. They have just developed wings. Now, what is this government's policy on agriculture? What is the policy of this government on security? Today, I was hearing on the news that the governor of Plateau State is now talking very strongly on the need for state police. As far as I remember, in this country, within this democratic period, the first person that started agitating for a state police was Governor Jan. And people saw him as a madman when he was talking about state police. Today, it has become a national anthem. Everybody now believes that that is the way to go. Because he saw it, he foresaw it. He was like Nicodemus, the man who saw tomorrow. In Nostradamus, sorry. He was like Nostradamus, the man who saw tomorrow. And he started crying in the wilderness that the safest thing or the best thing for us to address the security issues in this state is to remove the issue of security of police from the exclusive list and bring it back to the concurrent list so that states can run their police. Everybody said no, and that was what informed the idea about Operation Rainbow, where he got approval even from the National Security Advisor, from the Federal Executive Council, for the state to establish Operation Rainbow. Every other state today that is coming up with a security outfit of the state copied it from Plateau, the Operation Rainbow of a thing. So, in terms of redemption, so many things were redeemed, but of course, like I said, it's work in progress. We expected whoever took over from there to build on it or to develop more advanced policies to address areas like that. But because people suffer from intellectual anemia, there's nothing to do about it, so you just watch things going down, and you appear helpless. And because of your capacity too, your recruitment process is faulty, because you do not even understand the need for you to recruit the right people to do the job for you. You don't have the capacity to identify the right people to do the job. So your attention and your concentration, of course, it's just about mediocrity. Bring out mediocre so that nobody says he's up and above you. For me, if I were a governor, 80% of people that will work with me are people that are more knowledgeable than me, more exposed than me, because they will add value. They will add value.
Before we go to the national, I'm forced to ask you, right on well, you've defended that redemption. If really these sectors were redeemed, why were you put out of power?
That's what I said. People are very adventurous and very inquisitive. People want to discover the unknown. And they have discovered.
Okay, let's leave that.
They've discovered.
Let's leave that. Let's leave this question. We want to talk about the national. Let's bring Atiku to the rules discourse. He is the presidential flag bearer of the PDP at the national level from the presidency. Do you think that Atiku is going to win Plateau State as it stands now? What is the prospect for the PDP at the national here?
From 1999 to 2019, PDP has never lost the presidential election on the Plateau.
But don't forget the OB factor.
I am not oblivious of that. I'm not oblivious of that. PDP was consummated on the Plateau. It was conceived on the Plateau. Excuse me. When the time comes, I will wish to have a conversation with you again, because I would have been vindicated. Because as it were, you talk about OB, you talk about the OB factor as a reason why maybe the chances of PDP on the Plateau will be affected. I will ask the question. And the question is, what is the attraction to the OB thing? You see, there's a euphoria amongst the people, particularly the younger generation, because everybody, or most of them, believe that OB speaks our language. OB understands us. But of course, it goes beyond that. When the chiefs are down and when you sit to discuss the real issues and allow people understand the reasons as to why Obi is a leader of the future. Because in the contemporary Nigeria today, when you hear Obi speak to people, it gives you an idea that he is limited in terms of understanding the various or the myriad of issues confronting this country. Obi has always spoken on a very straight one traffic line, the economy. Outside, to the best of my knowledge, I have not heard Obi discuss the security issues in this country. I have not heard Obi talk about how divided this country is. I have not heard Obi talk about the need to restructure this country. Because he's an economist, because he is commercially oriented, his focus mainly is on the economy, which to me is good. But the economy of this country is one out of so many other contending issues that are pulling this country down. Until you address the issue of security in this country, economy will come to nothing, will amount to nothing. What makes up the economy? Even the SMEs that we have, when the macro or the micro economy that drives the major part of aspect of the economy of a nation is going down. People cannot go to their farms. People cannot sell their farm produce. You will go and farm. You cannot go and harvest. It has an impact on the economy of a nation. So when you don't address security issues, you bypass security issues. He has not told us anything about what he has to offer in the health sector. He has not said anything about education. He has not said anything about security. He has not said anything about devolution or restructuring of this country. So, for me, that's why I say he is a leader of the future. Because when we are, it is like what I said to you. When a lot of these issues are being addressed, you have a system that works. You build very strong institutions and not individuals. You bring, then the system runs itself. That will be the time that you need people like Obi to come to now run a system that is working. And that is why we are saying Atiku is the right man to put these things. The person understand what it means to run a perfect system in the educational sector, because he runs one. It is a success. Atiku is an employer of labor. Atiku is a businessman who is contemporary and cosmopolitan by virtue of the kind of businesses he runs. So it means that if he has invested in almost every part of this country, then he will be the #1 person to insist on the unity of this country. And he has the capacity to unite this country, even if it is for selfish reasons. Even if, I'm not saying for selfish reasons, but even if it is for selfish reasons, he has every reason to insist and work hard to uniting this country and making people understand the need to live peacefully with one another. It is when we are united as a people that then you now see how the economy will grow. But you can't grow an economy within a chaotic environment. It's not possible. You don't have a good educational system when security is not there. You don't have good health facilities when security is to ground zero. So, yesterday or the day before yesterday at the convention of the NBA, one of the presidential candidates was saying his principal will take care of the economy while he will take care of security. If it is the kind of security that we have in Borno State that is going to be delivered to us in Nigeria, then God forbid, because we will be worst off.
Okay. So you identify very key sellable points for the presidency now. Now, just to round up, I would like you to identify in, let's say, bullet points for the PDP prospect for the PDP in Plateau State, going forward. Like a recap. Identify, maybe, I don't want to say the 3 bullet points or 4, I want you to identify it yourself. So in bullet point, what can we say? Look, if you are going to leave this interview now, what should people, what should our viewer, go home with? All the sellable points of the PDP in Plateau State going forward.
Well, we have our history as a selling point. When I say history, particularly on the plateau, because every plateau person, he will tell you, oh, good old days. So for us, we have our history to stand by. Secondly, we have our candidates to present as very reliable, very focused people, committed people that, and they have delivered positively to the admiration of even people who do not necessarily would have loved their faces, but they could not but appreciate what they have done. Thirdly, we have a robust campaign structure that will deliver on the needs of the people, because we have a team that will talk to the people and convince them as to what the PDP has to offer. Yeah, we are conscious of the security challenges in this state. We intend to build on what the Operation Rainbow is doing, because, of course, it's our baby, it's our brainchild, and because we were the vision carriers, we understood, and we still understand what Operation Rainbow was supposed to have done. People that inherited it really because they do not share in the vision or the mission of Operation Rainbow. Of course, that's why they do not know what to do with it. In the agricultural sector, we had the ASTC, where everybody remember very well what the ASTC stood for. I think we have a duty to reinvigorate what the ASTC stands for, or stood for, because it is no longer there. In the area of what the economy, I think when I was in the House, one bill that I sponsored that just went through the first reading and it never saw the light of day again. I think, again, that is part of what the PDP believes in, is for us to have what do we call it? A cooperative, an agricultural commodity board, as it were, agricultural commodity board within the state to control what we produce from here, because people need to have value for what they produce on their farms. Not that you go suffer on the farm and some middlemen will come and make the big profit out of it. I think what the PDP government intends to do is to create value for whatever farm produce that we produce from here, to improve the economic standing of our local farmers, and of course encourage people to graduate from subsistence farming to commercial farming. Farming or agriculture becomes full real-time business, not that you do it to survive. You farm this year, next year when you're going to farm, you begin to look for money to buy fertilizer, farm inputs, so on and so forth. That does not make sense. It does not make economic sense. And I think what the PDP government in 2023 will do is to improve the capacity of our farmers by way of training and retraining, making farm inputs available to the people, going into deep agricultural research, part of what the ASTC was doing, because you see then they will go and do soil testing to understand what crop will do good, better here, and what kind of fertilizer to apply where. These were long-term plans for the farmers on the plateau. It was an agricultural policy that is worth looking at again. So for us, the areas will be, of course, security, education, agriculture, and of course, health and water supply. So infrastructure too, that is our business. That's what we're into. We're known for. And I think drawing from those experiences, Plateau people will be in for a big time when the PDP comes. And I can assure you, the state will be a project site for the period of the 8 years that will be in government.
Okay.
Oh, sure, very well.
Okay, I think this is where I'm going to draw our curtains for tonight. Remember, I've been talking to the former Speaker of Plateau State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Istifanus Caleb Mwanswat, who is very hopeful that PDP will emerge in the 2022 global elections. But not just imagine, he said they're going to do 2 terms. So, I'd like to give him this final word. Just give us your final word so that we can wrap up from this show tonight.
Well, my final word is to call on Plateau people to put on their thinking caps, think Plateau, think PDP, think Plateau, think Mutfwang and Pure, think Plateau and think Atiku Abubakar.
Okay, I thought we were going to go for Think Plateau and Act Plateau. This is where we close up from today. We will join us again in our subsequent editions of engagement with our political leaders so that we can make the right decisions. From me, my name is Longgul Dakwom, and I have quite a number of people in the studio here. We have Stags, we have Lumi, and we also have Aaron, and of course, Mopolanzo too. All of us are here together doing this thing, bringing to you live Viewpoint. And the executive producer, of course, is Chiman Duba. From our own side, Viewpoint Nigeria, we say thank you to Right Honorable Mwanswat for agreeing, to speak to us. Thank you very much, sir. You are really a Democrat. In the shortest period of time, you agreed to speak, and you are speaking for your party, and you are wearing the cap of your party, you are wearing green and white, and we hope that at the end of the day, you will match victorious.
Of course, and of course, it's Nigeria's color too.
Exactly.
Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you.